All right, it's about 6:31. We're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening and welcome to Southwest and Westside Study Group, Enota Park Construction, and the Bike Park at Shirley Clarke Franklin Project Updates Community Meeting. As a courtesy, we would like to remind you of ABI's data collection policy. In order to meet our promise of a Beltline for all, we are working to collect demographic and geographic information from all of our participants. This information is strictly for internal reference and research purposes, only to guide us in our outreach and public engagement efforts, and we will not be distributing this information to any other organization. And again, thank you for participating tonight in the Southwest and Westside Study Group. Well, I will give you updates on the Enota Park construction and the bike park at Shirley Clarke Franklin Park. I am Brittany Brewster, Community Engagement Manager for the Atlanta Beltline, Inc., or ABI, which is the organization responsible for implementing the vision of the Beltline. We have several members of the Beltline team on the call tonight. Atlanta Beltline, Inc. is committed to creating a culture within the organization that values and advances equity and inclusion. Part of that means representation from all of our 45 plus Beltline neighborhoods are on this phone call tonight. Staff members participating with you tonight represent various disciplines across ABI's organization and are here to support your experience with the presentation, the Q&A, and Facebook Live. Now, tonight we are introducing Enota Park construction details and the bike park at Shirley Clarke Franklin Project Park. Now I'll provide you with an overview of the meeting format for tonight. And guys, I'm a little sorry. I have to get used to saying Shirley Clarke Franklin Park, which was just changed from Westside Park. So forgive me if I stumble tonight. It looks like we are currently joined by, let's see, how many folks do we have attending tonight? About 6 members of the community, in addition to a host of other folks on the staff. We are joined on our virtual Zoom platform, and we are also broadcasting live to Facebook. If you are watching on the Zoom platform or Facebook Live as an attendee, you can follow along on the agenda at the top of each slide. If you are listening by phone, I will walk you through that meeting agenda now. Our agenda tonight has opened with a welcome and meeting logistics. We will follow this with audience polling and a Beltline 101. After that, we will have a presentation which will introduce each portion that I previously mentioned, and they will share their recommendations for each of the project. After the presentation, we will have plenty of time for questions, comments, and conversations. Again, if you are an attendee, you may have noticed by now that your line is muted, and you will not be able to share your video screen during the meeting to provide the best listening experience for everyone on the line. A recording of this meeting, the presentation, and all other supporting materials will be made available online at www.beltline.org/meetings. If you are having any technical difficulties during the meeting, please email us at engage@atlbeltline.org. Should we encounter any difficulties, we appreciate your patience as we sort them out. Now, let the fun begin. Before we jump into the project updates, I would like to get a sense of the virtual room by asking you all a couple of questions. As I start the poll, you should see a question pop up on your screen. This feature is not available if you have called in or if you are viewing from the browser online, but I will read those results to the group. The first question is, what neighborhood do you live in? Is it Westview or West End, Mosley Park, Oakland City, Grove Park, Bankhead, Knight Park, or Hollowell Station? Maybe it's a Beltline neighborhood in the city of Atlanta not on this list, a neighborhood in the city of Atlanta that is not on this list, or maybe a neighborhood in the city of Atlanta. All right, we can go ahead and end that poll. It looks like majority of the folks have answered. And it looks like majority of the room has a representation from the Westview and West End community. And it looks like Bankhead comes in secondly. And a couple of other folks are on the line whose neighborhood are not listed, who's not listed. All right, next question, please. How long have you lived in your neighborhood? Is it 1 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, or 11 or more? That poll should be starting. All right, let's go ahead and end the poll and share the results, please. All right, and it looks like majority of the folks on the line tonight have lived in their community or their neighborhood for 6 to 10 years. All right, next question. What is your relationship to the Atlanta Beltline? Are you a trail user, a homeowner? You rent a home? You are a residential landlord? Maybe you are a business owner, maybe a commercial landlord, a developer, real estate broker. Maybe also you could be a community activist or an advocate, or you just generally are just interested in the project alone. All right, we can go ahead and end that poll and show the results as well. So about 78% of the folks on the line are just generally interested, and then another large portion of the group use the trail daily. All right, for that next question, what are you most likely to be found doing on the trail? Is it exercising or recreation, to run errands? Maybe you use this trail to get to work or school, or perhaps you engage in leisure activities. All right, go ahead and stop the poll and share the results for me. All right, so majority of the room tonight uses the trail to engage in leisure activities. And if you are an avid trail user, then I'm sure you come in contact with one of our great Beltline ambassadors with a bright smile on their faces, either helping you to navigate your way throughout the trail. All right, next question before we get into the good stuff. Is tonight your first meeting? It's a simple yes or no question. All right, and you can go ahead and end that poll, share the results. Surprisingly, tonight, everyone said no. They actively engaged with us, so we're happy to have y'all. But generally, someone between our phone, on the Zoom platform, or even on Facebook is new to the group. So, with that being said, I like to ground everyone in what the Beltline Project is. All right, starting with our vision statement to be a catalyst for making Atlanta a global beacon for equitable, inclusive, and sustainable life. With that being said, Atlanta Beltline is working with MARTA and all of its efforts to implement the 22 miles of light rail transit. We've got 1,300 acres of new green space, 33 miles of multi-use trails, 5,600 units of affordable workforce housing, and I'm hearing that that number is going to continue to grow. $10 billion dollars in economic development, 48,000 construction jobs, and 50,000 permanent jobs, public art, environmental cleanup, and exactly what it is that I'm doing tonight, community engagement. And with that being said, I'm going to turn things over to the senior project manager for this project, Megan and J. Chalk.
Hey guys, hopefully this won't be too long. But go to the next slide. So hopefully most of you were out to join us several months ago at the Enota Park groundbreaking. Very exciting to finally get this park off the ground. We moved really quickly into construction. Our design team is Pond, uh, who has been with us working on this project, I think, since like 2017, 2018. The construction team that we have on site right now is Reeves Young. And our current status, obviously, we are in construction. We are trying to hit some construction milestones this summer, possibly summer 2026. We're definitely going to start doing tree planting late winter of this year. And full complete park is aiming to deliver around September 2026. Now, there are three parts to this park. There is the lower parcel, which is across from Kipps Drive. That's the one that is the most active, has the most construction on it. There's the middle parcel, which is very passive, we should say. It's really just a very basic connection to the Westside Trail, as well as just benches, trees, very natural. And then the upper parcel, which is the one that is along I-20. And so we're trying to deliver them all at the same time, but we're really pushing for the completion of that lower parcel that has the most active pieces of the park on it to be open by FIFA. If it is open, that is great and super exciting. If it is not, due to winter weather that we're about to get into, or any other possible delays, then we'll obviously come out and update you guys on the schedule. But for right now, those are our goals. These the goalposts have been moved up significantly since we started. But kind of going back, what are we even building? I know a lot of you, have been in these meetings for Enota Park for probably over a decade. But just as a refresher, there is a large multi-use field on the lower parcel across from Kipps Drive. You can kind of see it in the upper right rendering. We have passive green spaces throughout. If anybody has peeked through on the Westside Trail, you've seen the stream bank restoration that's been ongoing on the upper parcel along I-20, which, as somebody who has been on this site and worked on the Westside Trail, I had never actually really seen the stream, and now you can see it actually running, which is very exciting. And so there's also a boardwalk through the woods and an overlook over the stream that's currently in construction on that upper parcel. We have the playground, the splash pad, half-court basketball, restrooms. That is all on the lower parcel, the more active one. And throughout, we have lighting and cameras and several connections up to the Westside Trail. The next slide. And this was, several months ago at this point. But we got started right away once we got all of our permits. This is the demolition taking place of the existing building on site. If you note kind of the apartment building off to your right, that's kind of my anchor of a lot of these photos. So you can kind of see where we are on this lower section. Kipps Drive is right across the street. So the front of this building is on Lucille, but it is no longer there. So you can go to the next slide. You can see that the apartment building in the back, and the piece of equipment is sitting roughly where the building used to be. So we were able to really start quite quickly with the walls. I believe we're at least 80 to 85% with most of the walls, which usually take the longest for us in any project. Right now, they're being clad with granite, which shows in, I believe, the next slide. Maybe. There we go. Oh, too far. So this is kind of an aerial from roughly where the roof line might be, or above the roof of that apartment building, looking down all the way to Greenwich. So you're getting really from Lucille to Greenwich, and you can see some of the walls going in, some of the trenching happening. You can see the multi-use field starting to form here. And the photo in the upper right is from, I think it was last week or the week before, where we started granite cladding the walls. So all the walls will have, or all the visible parts of the walls will have granite cladding and granite caps on them, similar to what you've seen in several other parks, including Fourth Ward Park. This is the same, roughly the same details as Fourth Ward Park. Next slide. This is a new thing for us. We are building this lovely boardwalk that kind of winds itself through a lot of the existing tree canopy on that upper section next to the stream bank. And you can kind of see this is what is under the boardwalk. This is the framework and the piles or the foundations being driven in. And if you go to the next slide, maybe. There we go. This is what it looks like now. There will be handrail. We're going back and forth on what type of handrail for the least amount of maintenance. And also having a handrail that really blends into the background versus taking away from the view throughout this canopy. It's quite lovely. And you can actually see it going through the woods if you stand on the Westside Trail and look through right now with all the leaf fall that's happened. So we are working on this. We are finishing up on it. There's also an overlook that connects to this. And then we will come back in with handrails. And next slide. Oh, well, so Shirley Clarke, and I can take any questions on Enota at the end. I think I pretty much covered everything that I needed to cover in terms of updates. Upcoming stuff for Enota is really finishing out the walls and starting on a lot of these more detailed hardscapes. With the splash pad, we have our building teams on site. Beltline's not used to building buildings, but we have a restroom building and a parks maintenance building that we're working on as well. So you'll really start to see kind of the more technical stuff coming in the following months. So Shirley Clarke Franklin Park Bike Park. I'll just keep referring to it as the bike park. But this is a piece, an active piece going into the existing framework of Shirley Clarke Franklin Park. And just to orient you, you've got Johnson Road on kind of, I guess that would be the northwest. So this is the top part or the higher part of the park in the existing parking lot and restrooms. And we're building this in phases. So phase one is what I'm going to go through today. It's what we're going to begin construction on, but I do want to be clear that we are actively fundraising for phase two. The plans are at about 80 to 90% for all of our natural trails that are in phase two. So all of the orange squiggly lines that you see are in what we're calling phase two. So the bike park phase one is more of the hardscape of the plan, as well as the hiking trail that I'll get into as we go further in. But our design team that we hired, I think almost 2 years ago, Sherwood Engineering, and our construction team is Reeves Young in partnership with the American Ramp Company, which is one of the top bike park builders in the country. They will bring in a crew similar to how we've done skate parks in the past. So it's a very technical build. This isn't just throw down some asphalt and walk away. So they're bringing in crews for a few months, starting hopefully in December or January, to knock out a lot of the more technical hardscape build for this, as well as the hiking trail, which I can get into a little bit later, but we have a lot of really large tree canopy in this part of the park that really hasn't been touched. And with our working with the city arborists, with having to deal with a lot of these larger root systems, It's a very delicate balance, a very delicate dance. We have a plan for where the hiking trail is going to go in order to avoid any disruption of any of the root plates for these larger trees. So they will also be doing that. Current status, I'm hoping to say I am out of permitting by maybe Monday. That is the goal because we're going to have our kickoff meeting possibly end of next week. You're not going to see construction out there immediately. We will start likely fencing some stuff off for where we're coming in off of Johnson Road onto the bike park, hardscape park, which, sorry if I didn't point it out. It's the area, well, it's labeled bike park, but it's kind of the pink hashed area in the top right corner. And the funding source for this is a philanthropic donation and also some other donations through the Atlanta Beltline partnership. So next slide. So what is included in phase one? Obviously the hardscape bike park, which I've got some examples of what that looks like in the following slides. Some seating areas around the bike park. There is a much larger plaza that is planned and designed, but in order to construct the rest of these bi-directional and gravity trails it's a little bit easier to see on this one. But the pink and the orange lines, the more natural trails, we would essentially be running over that for construction. So we are kind of leaving the larger plaza area for a second phase, but there will be a lot of seating and shade around the bike park. Like I said before, you have a hiking trail included in this that's going to be kind of an option to connect the top of so this piece of the park. It comes in roughly around where it says Plaza 1. There's the connection point. And the hiking trail travels down all the way parallel to the existing sidewalk to the playground area and the restroom down there. And part of this is there's a large area that was at one point considered a wetland space. It is no longer really considered that anymore due to work that was done during the initial phase of the build out for the park. But we are coming in and working really closely to do a reforestation project here that this bike park or that the hiking trail and possibly a parallel bike path can connect to right there at the playground. So construction timeline, beginning work, hopefully late November, early December. I'm not really sure right now. With the holidays, we always get kind of a stop-start to things, but you probably won't see us actively out there until December. We do have all of our contracts in place and we're ready to go once we get our permit. Right now, we're projecting roughly a 12-month construction schedule. If that changes, obviously, we'll come out and update the community. And all areas under construction within the bike park are going to be fenced off for the duration. This is really not going to hinder any of the existing events or activities in the park because it's already a cleared space where no one goes. So it'll just be fenced off. The construction access, it's kind of off to the side within the parking lot. I think we might take up a few spaces. We're still in talks with parks about that, but there should be very minimal disruption while we're out there. And the update for phase two, again, ongoing fundraising for that. It has been designed. So we're just waiting on additional funding for phase two. So next slide. This is a confusing rendering for most of us that might not be big mountain bikers. But this is when I say the hardscape, this is what's being built there. Most of the time, a lot of these are pretty desolate. They are made of a specific type of asphalt, which, as you can imagine, in Atlanta, most of the time is going to be very hot. It consists of a bicycle playground, jump lines, asphalt pump tracks, and a skills course, which the skills aren't just for kids to learn, it's for everyone, beginner to advanced, can learn on pretty much every aspect of the bike park. Um, as well as use different types of wheels. You don't have to use, a specific bike on every single element. Um, some of these elements are skatable, um, skatable. Um, and we're working with parks too on how would we um, what do we do about scooters and other devices that we see on the trail all the time that may or may not want to partake in the use of the bike park? So we're still kind of working out the rules and behind that. But we also have a lot of green in here, which was very intentional from the start of this. I did not want this to look like this, heat island in the middle of such a lush green park. So we don't show a lot of the canopy because you wouldn't be able to really see what we're trying to display here. But any of the little green dots are actually probably overstory trees. And that is throughout this part of the park. So bringing in shade, bringing in greenery, and trying to mold in with the more natural aspects of the existing park infrastructure. So next slide. Close up of what the jump lines look like and what the asphalt pump track looks like. The wood product that you see here is specialty spec'd for bike parks. We have been looking at it, asking a lot of questions about its durability and its maintenance. And so we're working, the Parks Department and Beltline have both approved this because there's really not a great alternative that is as durable. We don't like to use wood in our parks just because of our climate. It doesn't seem to hold up, but we really have been sold on this. So, and there is some of this, I believe, in the Southside Bike Park. But yeah, so we're working on, making sure that anything we put in here is very technical, and how do we, create a partnership with local organizations to make sure it's maintained in, perpetuity, so that people can continue to use it, because these are very specialty builds. We can't just go to Home Depot and buy pressure treated lumber for this. So, next slide. This is the bicycle playground, which doesn't have to just be for kids, it can be for everyone. Well, most elements. You can see there is a replica of what I call like the whale ribbed art. It's an art piece to me that is on the lower entry to the park. We kind of made a miniature one here for the bicycle playground. And then the skills course, you can see some of these other wood elements, and we're bringing in a lot of granite elements as well, because we have a lot of it either on site or locally. So all of the granite will be sourced locally, which is nice. Next slide. And the hiking trail. So, there's nothing super fancy about what we're doing. It will be a very basic nature trail, soft surface. It's going to give you better connectivity to the lower park. It's not going to be as steep as that existing sidewalk that connects the lower and upper right now. And it really is more of an experience through the park that most people don't even know exists. In terms of just the old growth forest that you're going to be walking through. From a safety perspective, we tried to get as close to the existing sidewalk as we could, without kind of ruining the experience. But there will be some removal of a lot of the underbrush in there, so you will be able to see through to the hiking trail from a safety perspective. It's about 0.5 miles of natural trails that will be in phase one. So next slide, if I have one. I'm not sure I do. All right, and that's it for me for now.
Yep, it's back on me. Thank you, Megan, for the great presentations on both the parks. Now, as stated in the beginning of the meeting, we will answer as many live questions as time permits. Questions and comments can be typed or verbally expressed by raising your hand. Our audience is made up of Zoom online, phone attendees, as well as Facebook Live. Now, let's briefly review how we can all contribute to this conversation. For the phone attendees, if you would like to speak, you can press star 9 on the telephone keypad to raise your hand. When the discussion begins, and a member from the team will open your line when it is your turn and prompt you to press star 6 to speak. For the online attendees, you can submit a response at any time in the Q&A. In addition, you can upvote a response by clicking the thumbs up icon. The raise your hand feature is also available to all Zoom participants. However, we are prioritizing those phone attendees. And last but not least, for the Facebook Live attendees, please feel free to participate in the comment section. Someone from our staff will make sure they see your questions and I will answer them. All right, so we've got about 2 questions in the queue at the moment. Mia, you stated that this question is for Megan, but you'll have to confirm which project this actually is for. The chain link fence that runs along the Beltline, will that stay there once the project is complete, or will it be open, replaced with a wooden fence? Will the playground have toddler swings, or will there be on-site parking? I'm sorry, and will there be on-site parking?
Okay, so this is for Enota.
Okay.
The chain link fence that runs along the Beltline right now is just a temporary construction fence, so we don't have people wandering through the site while we're trying to build. So that will come down. And there will be toddler swings, accessible swings, and kind of those larger, I call them family swings, but they're like the larger disc swings where you can pile on 2 or 3 kids in there, or just sit by yourself after work. um think deep thoughts, I don't know. So yeah, we're gonna have a lot of swings to replace the ones. That was a big thing that the community wanted, just to make sure that they got a lot of their swings back, which they will. In terms of on-site parking, there won't be any on-site parking. There will be drop-off zones for cars, and there is street parking in front of the park as well. But we hope you take the Beltline there if you can.
Of course, because how else would you get there? Yeah. All right, looks like we've got a phone attendee. So, Matt K, I'm going to allow you to speak. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Matt. I live in the Westview neighborhood and I'm very excited for the progress of Enota Park. Thank you for the continued work in making the Beltline more enjoyable. I'm curious and hopeful whether there was any opportunity for some sort of like commemorative pavers or an adopt a brick program for Enota Park that community members can participate in.
Um, right now there is not, but weirdly the design is based off of the pavers that you see through Atlanta that are octagonal, like the octagon pavers. So if you see that replicated, um, that is what the design is based on. Currently, no, we don't have anything. There could be some opportunities for that in the future, around some of our art pieces that we have planned. But currently, no, we don't have anything like that planned. And that would really be more of a Parks Department driven initiative. So, but
Okay,
good
well, thank you
question.
for the information.
Yeah.
From an anonymous attendee, it looks like he's got 2 questions. So, the first one, do we know how much the bike park phase 1 and 2 will cost? How much more funding is needed? And then he said, also for you, is there any outlook on when bike park phase 2 might start and finish?
Okay, I'm really glad I pulled this. So for phase one, all in, this includes the construction, the trees, so the landscaping, the trees, the signage package, the design team. We are roughly at 9 million all in for phase one. The additional, is Cynthia on? Cynthia might remember. We've just been trying to get phase one through. Phase two can be broken out into individual packages, like individual trails can be built in the way that we've designed it. I can't remember honestly off the top of my head what that delta is. I think it's roughly 4 million, maybe
Yeah,
3.
I want to say it's 4 to 5 million, but we
Okay.
can verify that with,
Yeah.
if Anonymous wants to email us, we can confirm that dollar value.
Yeah, we can put that out there, but yeah, but the whole thing is designed. So that is a big chunk of that phase one, is making sure that we have the design to work off of. We don't have to go back and procure any more design work. So
All right, thank you. Michael, Matt, the RFP for 425 Chapel Road ended in October, yet I see nothing on the calendar for the remainder of this year. What developer was chosen and what is the next timeline? I'm going to throw and direct that question to Dennis. I think you're on the line tonight.
I'm sorry, Brittany. Can you repeat the question?
Yes, the RFP for 425 Chapel Road ended in October, yet I see nothing on the calendar for the remainder of 2025. What developer was chosen and what is the next timeline?
Appreciate the housing question on this call. It is an open procurement. I'm limiting what I can share. We're currently in the evaluation stages.
Thank you, Dennis. Okay, from the anonymous attendee. Thanks, slightly off topic, but there was a talk once about a better connection between Westside Trail and Shirley Clarke Franklin Park, possibly over active rail. Is that still a possibility? Thanks.
I knew we were going to get this question. We always get this question. So we were working and looking to the Upper West Side CID for that connection at Marietta and West Marietta to get to the park. And I am not sure right now. That was a federal grant. I'm not sure right now where they stand in terms of funding. I do know it is designed, which is a big deal. But yeah, I'm not really sure where that stands at this point with their organization. I'd recommend you reach out to them. But yeah.
If I might, there's also a private developer that owns a large parcel between the West Side Trail and the park. Like a lot of developers, I'm assuming that with interest rates where they are, the project is not currently moving forward. But he has expressed a strong desire to bridge over the CSX rail to connect West Side Trail through his development into the park. Strong desire. He's a good developer. I have no doubt if the project moves forward, it'll happen, but who knows when that might be.
All right, and it looks like he said, would that be a bridge?
The connection, I know that there will have to be some. I don't think there is a bridge in their plans. They're reconfiguring, I believe, the street profile. But we can check on that. I know it's up on their website. I don't think it's on Beltline website, but I know they have some of their plans on their website. So sorry, it's very vague right now. And we have been trying to keep up with Upper West Side CID since we just finished Northwest 5 that connects right there too. So yeah, hopefully we'll have an update on that soon.
Thank you, Megan. We have no other questions at the moment, so I'm going to allow a little room just to give folks the opportunity to ask questions in the event that they still do have some. Couple more minutes. All right, oh. All right. As soon as I got ready to say something, from TJ Austin, not a question, but a remainder of the Upper West Side CID prioritizes a specific portion of the West Side and not residents that reside along the Hollowell corridor. Are there any plans for the Beltline to connect via the former Microsoft site?
Not the per se the Microsoft site, but we are working with GDOT that has safety improvements that start at Bankhead, and I think the current one is Bankhead and what would that be, West? And then it'll be Bankhead and East. And part of that will be a much better connection than the existing sidewalk from our West Side Trail 4, which has a ramp up to Hollowell, to connect that down to Bankhead and Proctor Creek, which then will get you into the park. And again, I don't have currently a timeline on that, but it is in the works.
Got it. Thank you, Kevin. From anonymous attendee, is there a bike park like this in Metro Atlanta? Is there another one specifically? And in Georgia, Megan, any privy
So
to what else is happening
there,
across the state?
there's not a bike park like this in Atlanta. There is not one to this caliber in the state. So as part of kind of the seed grant that we got, which is the majority of our funding, we were charged with really going big on doing a bike park that, you know, becomes a destination. And that's why, you know, we invest a lot in the design of this. We're investing a lot in the construction and the materials of this because it's going to be more of a regional bike park because we really don't have a lot of bike parks to this caliber. Really outside of Arkansas is what I have learned. So Bentonville, Arkansas has a lot of these, and that's what a lot of our case studies came from, was the work done in Bentonville, Arkansas, where a lot of the bigger parks are. So we took a lot of inspiration from that, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and how do we incorporate that in an Atlanta way. You know, we are a different city and we want this to look like, you know, you're in Atlanta and at Shirley Clarke Franklin Park / Westside Park. So yeah, we hope that we're delivering, you know, just kind of a really top quality bike park.
All right.
Yay.
Thank you for that, anonymous attendee. Um, well, I don't think you all want me to keep you all night. So we're gonna move to the next slide. All right. It's coming to a close. So with that being said, I wanted to ask a few more poll questions. Was the information presented tonight helpful at all? And that poll should appear. Okay. All right. There it goes. All right. You can go ahead and end the poll and I'll share with the results. So yes, majority of the room agreed that that information was helpful. Some weighed in at no opinion. Next poll question for the evening to close us out. Did you learn something new? Yes, no, need more clarity? Uh, all right, close the poll and end the results. And it looks like 86% agreed that yes, something new was learned. Some folks said no. But if you have any more questions, you can always reach out to us at engage@atlbeltline.org. And I know many of you were under the anticipation of the groundbreaking for Shirley Clarke Franklin Bike Park. That's right. It's a whole mouthful. I'm sorry. But needless to say, it has been postponed to the top of the year. I will have more details as that date becomes nearer. And as a matter of fact, we will be reaching out to a few of the community stakeholders to be at that program with us and share their sentiments as it relates to what the park means to them. So again, as that date nears, I will be sure to let you know all things concerning, but it's looking like it's going to happen in January. So I'll keep you updated. Otherwise, my contact information, in addition to the project manager contact information, is on the screen. It's also being shared in the chat right now. Thank you for your participation tonight, and we will see you all on the Beltline. Have a good night.